marriages. Is it really possible to avoid conflict in marriages? To a minimum level, yes, it's avoidable. But what happens when you have conflicts in marriage? That's where our focus is. That's what we are trying to understand today. We have our guest in the studio to do justice to the topic. She is a marriage counselor, a writer, a publisher, someone you've always seen, and of course, you know, when we bring her on the screen, you know we are discussing serious business. We have DC Ojolo in the building. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
You know, your natural beauty and calmness always gets to me with your natural hair well packed. Good morning.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you. You're looking beautiful as well. You look great.
Thank you for always honoring our invitation when we bring you on the hot seat back.
My pleasure. It's always a pleasure to be here, and I'm delighted to be here this morning as well.
Okay, today we are discussing avoiding conflicts in marriages. Now, what causes conflicts in marriages? What would you say are the main reasons why there are always conflicts in marriages?
All right. Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, everyone. Okay, so conflict, let me put it under the umbrella of unmet expectation. Though there is something, which is when there is lack of communication, a lot of things can break down in a marriage. And so that's why I usually say when you're not communicating, you will be frustrated. And so when you're frustrated, you are looking for someone to pass the frustration into, and so you do just anything. So unmet expectations. So what are these expectations? Career, about children, in-law, finances, it might be your personal life. There are some things people are expecting their spouses to do for them and they are not doing, and so because they are not doing it, instead of finding a better alternative to go about, you know, probably telling them or making that particular thing known, some persons go the route of less, you know, the way they talk at times. And so more often than not is unmet expectation, lack of communication, or let me say little. So for some persons, even no communication because they have issues, and so they are stonewalling. You don't want to, you know, discuss with your spouse, just want to stay on your own. It's different from, you know, I want to set boundaries, I want to be here for now, and so it's spelled out. Like in one of my books, there is there is something called stop in communication. You know when to stop, you know when to pause. You know when you're saying, you know, the stop is, there should be time out at times, you know, when you're communicating. But I mean, when there is conflicts, but for a lot of persons, they just want to pour everything. So more often than not is, I would say, is on the umbrella of unmet expectations, because we have what we're expecting from our spouses, and at times some are healthy while some are not. Okay. And so reality is, I usually tell especially singles, see, we have people that some things you can't even do for yourself, you want your spouse to do for you. And if you're sincere with yourself, you know that this thing is not easy. But because a lot of us, we have always had this thing in our brain, this is how marriage should be, this is how my husband should be, you know. And so when they are not that thing, you know, we tend to want to like withdraw, and so you're thinking he's not treating me well, she's not treating me well. So unmet expectation in a lot of things, probably finance. They didn't discuss this thing before they got married. One person is working, the other is not, you know, and a lot of things around finances. In-law relationship, I tell people, in-law relationship is tactical and it's technical. It takes the grace of God to really work things out. And there is something, you would have in-laws that would naturally love you without wahala. You will have the one that there will be wahala. They have not met you, but they just know that, no, I'm gathering this particular side, you know. And there are some that, if they can sit down, and this person is good, or he or she, I mean, she more often than not, now we already have these things, you know, she's not we think she is, things will be fine. So, but I tell people, it's about the two people, the husband and the wife. If you can, you are able to really cushion the effect of all these things. You have the understanding prior marriage. You'll be able to deal with a lot of things that will come in marriage. So majorly unmet expectation in a lot of things that people bring into marriages.
Okay, is it possible to avoid conflict in marriage? Then how can partners, you know, avoid it?
Okay, so it's possible. It is possible. Let me say this. So conflicts is not the problem. It is how we deal with the situation at hand. Because by way of definition, I've always said something. Conflict is just two people having divergent views, and it is normal. We are humans. We are from different backgrounds, so a lot of things contribute to this. We are from different backgrounds. Our orientation, our exposure, what we are, the influences in individuals' life. These things are different. So it is normal that we have different views pertaining to a lot of things in life. But how do we now handle these things that are different in our life? So conflict is majorly people having divergent views concerning things. But then when they can't handle it well, it now leads to another thing. So it is possible to avoid conflict in your marriage. And how do you do this? I said something earlier. Communication is very, very important. See, it is a live wire of any relationship and any marriage that will thrive. And so we need to have this. Is a skill. I tell people, when people come and tell me, hey, I don't know, that's the way I've been talking. No, you should know how to talk. It is a skill. You can learn it. Communication is one. Listening skill is another. A lot of us just want to talk, and you don't want to listen. Yeah. And so for some person that are even telling you I'm listening, they're not listening. True. They're only waiting for their time to respond to what you're saying. And so because they want to
start picking words.
And so because what they wanted to do is just respond, what they are doing in the process is you're talking, and so they are building up defense. They are building up defense. And so because what he's trying to build up is the defense, he or she did not hear anything.
Everything.
No, not even everything. They didn't hear anything in the sense that they heard you, but they heard you the way they wanted to hear you. Meaning they've misconstrued what you were trying to say. And so when they're responding, it's from the place of defense. This one is not even sitting on defense. It's really, or she is like really
prepared
ready
to give it to you back
to
back.
Yes, and so that one alone will cause issue. Because I'm saying A, you didn't even hear my A. You're coming to tell me probably D or something, and so it is different already. I'm coming from here, you're coming from another angle, and so there is nowhere to meet. So one of the things is lack of communication or little communication. For some persons they talk, but what they talk about is not what they should be talking about. We see couples that when they are talking, it's just because they have children together, and so we need to pay school fees, and so they talk about school fees. Sweetheart, Junior's teacher called, they said this thing happened, so they talk about children. But see, marriage is about the two of you, with the inclusion of others. I'm not saying you abandon people, no, but we're saying priority, husband and the wife. But then when they are talking, they are not talking about each other. Even when they are saying they are doing appropriate about other persons, they are talking children that, is because of these things are in place. So one of it is lack, no, or probably little communication. And then about communication, a lot of persons don't know how to talk. There is a way to talk. See, there is a way you're talking, you're smiling, and they say, oh, you're good. And there is a way you frown, and the way you are even looking. Some persons can look at you and you'll be like, let this grand doors open and follow me.
You understand?
So you're not saying anything about you, he's talking and
I know the disdain and the
exactly, you know everything, and you're like, even you're like, hey, what have I done again? Do you understand? That is communication. So we have gestures, we have actions, we have reactions, we have a lot of things, pertaining to communication in marriage. And so there are principles to the way you communicate in marriage and even with people generally. It's a tool in counseling. In one of my books, a lot of principles, to communication. There's a principle I told people, see, one very important is there is a principle called the principle of first response. And what does that mean? Now, I am the communicator. I wanted to talk to her. Probably what I wanted to say, I don't need to preempt her that this is the way she will take that thing. That's another thing. People preempt during communication. And when you're preempting people, you're telling them, I know what you want to say. So before they even talk,
I already have the answer. I said, don't worry, I know what you're going to say.
No, allow the person. And so let them be who they are and let them express themselves. So in first response, no matter what Olori says, even while I'm talking, I'm in charge. And so I'm ready to take the communication through, no matter what she's saying. Though I won't shout, because I'm in control of whatever I want to say, I'm in control of myself. And so I won't shout. I will allow, even while I'm talking, you're interrupted, I will allow you to talk. But then I know where I'm going. We might not settle, but then I know where I'm going. First response. And then the tone thing is there very, very important. So communication is a major issue. Another thing is when people don't, I've talked about unmet expectations, that's another one that could cause, conflict in mind. That's why it's good. Still, everything I'll be saying will still go back to communication, because they need to sit down and talk about what they want.
Okay.
And people...
Let me pause you there. Let me ask you this now. At what point, we know that yes, from our mini future, there could be healthy conflicts, there could be unhealthy conflict. Now, at what point do you think conflicts are healthy? Because I believe that there's no marriage that doesn't have conflict. Now, like we've said earlier on, is how you tackle the conflict that matters a lot. So would you say there are healthy conflicts in marriages? And at what point would you say, okay, this is healthy, let me take it further. No, this is unhealthy, let me stop it here. Are there times like that?
Yeah, there are times. So let me, it's very funny. So is conflict, are there healthy conflicts? Would I love to put it as healthy conflicts? Because we all know that conflict is bad. Do you understand? So it's only that they are healthy. But what I would say healthy conflicts is a sense that when you have disagreement, it is normal. Because even there is this Yoruba saying that when the teeth and the tongue, they fight. But because they are fighting while chewing, the tongue will not say, I won't produce saliva for you to masticate the food very well for the teeth to do. So that's why we're now saying in marriage, so there will be issues because you're two different personalities, and even twins that came with the same placenta, there will still be. Do you understand? Okay.
So
beautiful. So what we now say healthy is the fact that you should understand that there will be disagreements. Yeah. So when there are now disagreements, you are fighting fair. Now, fighting fair is the fact that you're not stonewalling, you're not nagging, you're not comparing your spouse with another person, because that one too is a problem. Reality is you're seeing things from another angle, you're seeing that other person, and you think, oh, it is beautiful. It is not like that everywhere. I can show you what I want you to see. It might not be healthy really inside. It might be like we're just showing face, like what we want people to see, and that's what they're seeing. So, you don't compare. And healthy conflicts, now when you have that issues, or when there are issues, you both sit down to talk as adults. You're not shouting on yourselves. There is no abuse, not just physical abuse. I'm talking about emotional abuse, because a lot of us, I think, in our society now, we're so big on physical. Meanwhile, emotional is deadlier than physical. So there are no emotional, there are no physical. Those are not there, so we can say it is there. So health now is that two people who just know that yes, there will be conflict, there will be disagreement in our marriage. So once we have the disagreement, we're able to sit down and we talk as adults. We are not shouting, we're not beating ourselves, we're not comparing, ourselves with other person. There is no stonewalling. Like stonewalling is people withdrawing. You don't want to talk, with your spouse, and so that's why conflicts now aggravate, because you're stonewalling, you're not ready to even discuss. One person is saying, hey, this is happening, you're saying nothing is happening. And then you're not invalidating your spouse, because some persons invalidate their spouses. I'm saying something, you're telling me, no, it's not like that. It is me, this is BC, not you. So you should understand that there is a place of you taking people for who they are. Allow the person, him or her now, to talk without interrupting, without you thinking, no, even my friend is not like that. That is your friend. Even you might not see that particular thing like that. Myself, though we are both introverts, but we are different in the sense that the way we take things is not the way I will take things. And another thing is the fact that people during courtship don't talk. In one of my books, The Uncommon Questions You Must Ask Before You Get Married, I listed a lot of things. See, you need to talk. Ask the person. See, there are some persons, they are not normal. I'm not talking about the normal thing we're talking like only me or normal or not that one. But I mean, they are really mad from their family. One of the things in that book is ask, when you get angry, how do you act? And another thing, you want to know who raised that person. Some persons, a lady was telling me, I was like, whenever he says, I don't know, man, whenever my husband, like we stay for a long time, now we don't have issue, man, she me back on. And I was like, are you sure you're not possessed? She's not possessed. I just joked with that. Being a trauma healing expert, I went further. I asked questions. Why? Background. She grew up in a home where the father and the mother, they give it basbos. I mean, she was like, even in the middle of the night, they will be shouting of them. There will be the children coming to settle things. And so, what she grew up with, no peace. This one is not no peace for the wicked, no peace for everybody. She understand. So, that was how she grew up. And so to her, she was like, ma, Noma. And this is a man that's, you know, healthy background.
Peace. You know,
and sincerely, we had to, it was trauma. We had to, he went through, you know, it was therapy for her. Yeah, we now had to, like, as. Okay. So do you understand what I'm saying? That's the thing with this conflict scene. It's not just now. A lot of things background, so that's why we do a lot of check.
We're going to pause you there. We'll go on our word of marbles, and when we return, Lori will have her questions to basically. Let's go on our quick break. If you're just joining us, you're watching Family and Values on Galaxy Television, reaching out for the stars, and of course we are streaming across all our social media platforms. We've been discussing avoiding conflicts in marriages, and of course we still have our guest here doing justice to the topic. Hello.
Okay, the question I want to ask you is this: is it possible to have side effects, you know, when you talk about conflicts in marriage, and what are they? Can you just point them out, and, you know, let's see how far we can go with that?
There are side effects, because conflicts, when it is not healthy, as you have said, it could be deadly. Especially if it is, we don't have people that can't manage their emotions in the process. They can start eating each other. See, when we hear about he killed her, she stabbed him, something happened. And so, anger issue, I want to deal with that. A lot of persons are very, very temperamental in the sense that, and they will tell you that is who I am. No, change is the only constant thing. We can all change if we choose to change. So, but if these things are happening and they are not dealing with it, it could lead to loss of life in the process. That is, if they know they are having these issues and they are not going out to, you know, to seek counsel on how to deal with whatever it is happening or work on each other, it can, you know, that is like the height of it now. But then, even without that, it can lead to stress. Like we're talking about, it's not everybody that loves fights. It's not everybody that loves these, let's shout, let's, like I was saying, gra thing. For one that is probably very, you know, doesn't like wahala and all those things, it can be very, very stressful. And sincerely, even for the person fighting, it is stressful because it is affecting their health. Every time you are shouting, every time you are fighting, you don't have peace with yourself, let alone having it with another person, your spouse in this sense. So it can lead to, you know, stress. It can lead to a lack of peace in their house. A lack of peace in the sense that for the two of them, and if they have children, even for the children, because children are watching, and that's why we say parents are the main model when it comes to a lot of things. They are serious role model. They are watching. You might think they don't know. They are exactly not teachers. It's the home. And so you will see that you are raising dysfunctional children, because at that point they see it every time. They are thinking it is not. So that is the effect on your parenting work now. So it has the negative effect on your parenting work, because the children are looking at you, and so they grow up to think
it's normal.
It is just normal to shout. You don't. No, it is not. You don't, like the lady I talked about. If I'm using the approach of the normal Americans, if I had not gone through the emotional thing with her, I would have just felt. Some persons will tell you, and that's why you see pastors say, go and pray. Some things you're praying for is not prayer. It's therapy. It's not deliverance. Even if we now do deliverance, let them go through therapy first, and you see the changes.
Yeah, that's it.
If I'm not trained in that part, I would have said, no, something is wrong. Something is wrong, really, but not like spirituals. Per se, but she's coming from somewhere. So that is the parental effect on your children, and so they will grow up to think, not even grow up. You see some children in school, they are bullies. Ask them very well.
That's it.
They will tell you. They will tell you. I remember at the point when my son was still in this school at their class after playgroup. Then they were always beating him. And this person hit me today. That person. And me, because of the little knowledge of children, child and this thing, I'll be like, they are children. I was not like almost every day. And it was like, my child will say, there was a day I went, I was like, ma, hey, again, today, my husband wasn't happy and everything. And the woman said that I should tell him he should be beaten by one. That if he does it once, they won't try it again. I said, no. I'm not raising a bully. And funnily enough, he has a very big stature. Like, maybe the person beat his son that if he one like this now, him, they will now say, I said, no, you don't do. Do you understand? So it's like that. You ask them and they will tell you what really happened. And you know, children, they are very open. They will tell you. And so what you're showing to them is it is healthy. When there is anything, just eat and all those things. So on your parental work. And another very special side effect is lack of productivity. Not just in your home now, everywhere. Even with your career, you will lose focus. Because when it is not working at home, you can't export it abroad. It's not possible. So you will lose focus. You won't be productive. Because I'm telling you, even the person giving the problem. Why do you think, we had one case of someone that, it was the man that brought, I want to divorce. And after I was like, and you want to even accept it like that. And this one has been really, with the issue, a lot of issues, and they've been trying to settle. I was like, I even thought she would beg. So really, he didn't want it. But because he felt he's a quiet person, she is this, you understand? So he didn't have that peace to go ahead with that thing. So even the person causing trouble, there is no peace. So lack of productivity in all ways. You won't be yourself.
Of course.
You will not be yourself, because truth is, we say love doesn't die. No, love does not die. The thing is still somewhere. There is still. It's only when you see their feeling of giddy butterflies in your tongue that you can say, I'm not feeling. But if it is the real, conviction now, the commitment to love, you still know that there is still something you're feeling for this person. So as much as one aspect of you wants things to just go haywire, another aspect still yearning for something beautiful. Yes, around.
You just need to bring it back.
Bring it back. So I've talked about the emotional side of it. I've talked about, it could lead to that, the parenting aspect. Then the worst thing is the fact that they won't be talking to each other at home. They won't be talking. And yes, grudge, from grudge, we're talking about malice. And malice, when it aggravates, you see them drifting apart. Even before drifting, resentment comes in. Of course. You're resenting yourselves. And so people that have been sleeping in the same room before, you just like, today the wife is in children's room. Tomorrow the husband said, I don't want to see you. He has packed into their visitors' room, and little by little, intimacy is drifting. They are drifting, serious drifting. And so with drifting comes separation. They will tell you, what is the need? At least I've been this thing and you are not here. And so with separation comes the baba of it, divorce. And you are now asking them what happened. I've seen cases, they will just tell you. Some of them can't even remember how it started. They can't remember. It's not very after now saying something. And I say, I remember now, she did it. And by the time you look at it, there are two different things. We have what we call, did I give you that? And I gave you at a point to the help of the Holy Spirit. We have what I called annoyances and real issues that can lead to conflict. We should know the difference between the two. Annoyances are who you are, who I am. In the sense that there are things I don't like personally, I don't want you to do. It's not that those things are generally acceptable, like it's a norm for everybody to say these things are not good. Take for example, especially women, we don't want people to smear fumes of their soap while beating on the wall. Do you understand? Yes. But your husband will do this and he will leave it without, rinsing it away. You are this person, when people you want them to flush and you want to see whites in your closet. But then you have this spouse that will not do that thing. And so you started, you did it yesterday, day before yesterday. You start counting, 1970. I even asked you, you did not. And the man was like, okay, I will change. But every time you keep talking about it, you start saying it as your
I would like, some people out there might have this argument, like they used to say, a relationship that there is no quarrel. We've seen those quotes very well. There's a relationship that doesn't have quarrel. That means that relationship, there are pretense and this. Now, is it true that that conflict strengthen marriages, or disagreements strengthen marriages to a certain level? Like, okay, because I told you, like, I grew up in a family where I didn't see my parents having physical, maybe in their bedroom around 3 a.m. they did that, but we never for once saw it. At least to an extent, when I started knowing myself, I didn't see that physical, this thing. So whichever partner of them made that possible, I wouldn't know. But is it true that, yes, conflict strengthen marriages to a certain extent?
Okay, let me say, like, you just said something. You never saw your parents.
Yeah. That's it.
So it shows that there are better things that strengthens marriage than conflicts. This thing you said is very true. I remember when myself and my husband were caught forgetting the person asked, share tija. And I was like, share tija. I was looking at that share tija. I wanted him to like, the person was a pastor actually. And I was like, that the fact that me, I can't even say that we have fought self shows that we have not started.
The relationship.
I was like, me, I'm not. And him too, he's not.
So,
Do you understand?
And
And they were feeling.
Is shared tija the same thing as conflict? Because I see conflict as when you have,
That
very
was
strong
what he explained.
misunderstanding.
He explained what he meant.
And I believe fighting is when you, because my understanding, conflict, you don't really need to be physical. Sometimes you have conflicts that it just words. Mouth, misunderstandings, like that. And when you fight, is another story entirely.
Shetija is just Yoruba. He explained. Like, what have you done? You shouted on yourself. He explained what he meant.
Said 1 year into marriage,
Yes,
2 years
yes,
into
what he
marriage.
meant.
Just like what she said, some parents want to keep it quiet from the children.
Yes, I wanted to explain that to you. What I want to
don't
say,
want you to know.
no, but the thing is, where I'm going is the fact that in every healthy marriage, there will be misunderstanding.
Thank you.
Every healthy. So if anybody is telling you, no, you are not a child of no. Even if you are a child of there should be issue. You are not a robot. Even robot at times say you put some prompt, they will tell you I'm not programmed for this. Do you understand? So there are some things true as humans we are not programmed for by God. So because I'm not programmed for this, my husband will say something, I'll say, I'm not programmed for this, so let's see healthy alternative, but then we will not shout on ourselves. That's where the thing comes in. So people now saying it must be done. I'm talking. He explained what he meant. He was actually talking about conflict, and he was like, to him, we are not ready for marriage if we have not really done the shout and see, because that is where you will see yourselves. So, but it is normal that I have a different view from something. He has a different view from something, and so we are now talking. We are seeing how we can now sit down to level of communication we have where you talk. We're talking. You can discuss. At times you brainstorm. Might not be. There are things we do in counseling. I'll tell you you're brainstorming because I've seen some things. And so during your brainstorming session, nobody is superior. The husband is not superior. The wife is not superior. The husband is not inferior. The wife is not inferior. But your marriage is your priority here. And what is the marriage, or who is the marriage? The two of you. Meaning we are letting self go. We are letting our egos go. We are coming to the table to sit down and say, oh, this marriage is very important to us, and this marriage must work. Do you understand? And so what I'm saying is, it is normal to have disagreement in marriage, very normal. But when you don't have conflict, it's now aggravating to you now having to, even by the time you are shouting on yourselves, you need to check it. I know we have different temperaments. It's our temperament that causes, temperaments that cause all these things. Because we believe this is who I am as a person, and you are sanguine, we don't take nonsense, I am choleric, I must show who I am. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Okay, I have this text message and it says, good morning everyone. So how is Mrs. Prissy?
Good, thank you.
Okay, thanks for doing justice to the topic. Please, how can we reach you? Kudos to all of you. So kudos to everybody, including the cameramen and our crew. So, Prissy, can you give them your handle?
Okay.
So that, it can be easy for the person to reach you before I ask my question.
Okay, so on Facebook, Instagram, like everywhere, it is Bisi Ojolo. And then my number, 081-8212-9026, 081-8212-9026.
Okay, I hope you got that, but you can go to our social media and just get that day. That's the best way you can reach and have access to her. So what is your advice to partners that are quick to conclude or to find fault? I remember our guest on Friday, I'm still ringing in my ears.
So don't be quick to assumption.
Don't be quick to assumption. So what are your advice to partners who are quick to find fault? That's how you be doing. That's how you sit down there and be looking at me. You will not talk now,
So the advice is this: see, you're finding fault because you don't see alternative. So every negative thing, there are positives. So this is one thing you should do. See, we should celebrate ourselves.
Celebrate ourselves.
And when I'm saying celebrating yourself, I'm not saying celebrating the results. I'm saying celebrate the process. Because a lot of us, we are very good at this, and it's the same thing we do with our children. It's your mate that got first, second, third. You, no prize. But you didn't remember the fact that the child tried. You see 90s, 80s, and something. So with your spouse as well, celebrate the process. If you celebrate the process, you will see little. You will assume. Even you would want to assume less. And so when the assumption even comes, you want to. There is this thing I tell people you should do for your spouses, and even for people generally. Give them the evidence of the doubt. Try to, try to find excuses for them. Like, it won't be like that. It can't be that. And I'm telling you, if people can do that in marriage, it will help them. Because a lot of us, now, it is easy for you to call your spouse, and your spouse is not picking, you're saying, hey, I know he's with that boy or she's with that girl. Why not think your spouse is in a meeting and they can't pick the call? Why always the negative? See, when we sit down and find excuses for everything, you understand, we will do better. You won't compare, you won't assume. You'll be able to know that, oh, and it might be because of this. Now, when you now see, I called you or something happened, and they'll be able to explain. It's only when you have issues in your mind that you can think, and even at that you did something or she did something, yes, that doesn't mean they will repeat it today. So why preempting your spouse? Why do you always think because he has done it before, he must keep doing the same thing? Why not the change?
I think sometimes as a result of the fact that you've given them benefit of doubt once, twice, and they failed you. There are sometimes that you just decide to give benefit of doubt, and that benefit of doubt is actually failing you.
Remember someone saying that marriage is a process that you go through, and every day keeps on.
It keeps changing,
You are not
different things.
One particular.
So there are sometimes you give them benefit of doubt. Okay, the first one you're letting go, the second, and then you're like, wait, you're taking me for granted. When is that word, you're taking me for granted, you think I'm a fool, start coming inside marriage, then check it.
Check it. I said something. I said it's only when you have issues that you now say, because of this thing, I've been given not even second chance, I've given third, fourth. I've always been given chances. So I can't uncountable now. That's when you can now say, okay, this is what the person is.
This is what the person is. The person cannot
But then,
change.
There is no marriage that is irreparable in the factory of God. If the two people involved are ready to work.
That's true. Anyway,
the two people. Now, not one person that wants. I tell people, if one person is doing the work,
then that's why God gave it to you.
Exactly.
That's true.
Though we have one-sided counseling where it is probably the man. I've seen there was a man. He came. He was open. It was adultery. He was open. No. And you see some of them who comes and they will tell me, but I've begged her. Can't she just take it like, easy?
It is not.
Don't just say you should take it like that. And I've seen some that came and they were sincere. They were ready to go through the process to get their wives back. That's what I'm saying. So that's what we call one-sided counseling. So it's one person that is ready to really give themselves. But it should not be like that every time in a marriage. If it is always like that, if care is not being taken down, the other person will get tired one day because they would have been pushed to the wall. And
there's always an elastic
it's just
limit.
elastic limit of I can't just go again. I can't take it again. I can't take it again.
I want to find out, is it possible for you before going into a relationship to work on yourself? There's a way you find out this is the kind of person I am. And maybe through your friends,
excuse me,
you have been talking and your friends like, do you know you always do this? You need to watch yourself. And those ones are married. Now, you are still single. Is it possible for one to go through a counseling or therapy that will prepare your mind and check some of those attitude and characters you have that will bring quick trouble, like a quicksand into your marriage?
Please just do that in a minute.
Okay, all right. So it's possible. I have a mentoring session I'll be starting in April, BC Ojolu Mentoring Academy. And someone asked me, Ma, is he married? I said, no, it's not marriage. It's about your life. There is one bank I won't mention that says you first. And that's what I put in. I said, this mentoring academy is about you first. It's about your wholeness. It's about you living a well-rounded life first before thinking of getting into a relationship. And so, see, every marriage will start from the fact that I know who I am before even knowing the other person. We're looking for the perfect fit. Are you fit? We have a lot of unfit persons looking for a fit person, and so you're bleeding. You will bleed on that fit person, because even your wound, they don't know you have that particular wound. So truth is, ma'am, it is very possible you can know all these things. You can. And so this thing, I just boom, they can come. And we're starting, you know, you build system around your life. You understand self-awareness is it's scattered. Emotional intelligence is very important. People, we usually talk about goal setting. What about building systems that work? What about structures to our lives? What about knowing who you are, truly who you are? What about knowing, a lot of persons don't know themselves. You ask them, who are you? And they can tell you, I work here, I studied this. But deep inside, who is busy? Your temperament, even as a single, you have a love language. So when you understand some things about yourself first, I'm telling you, major values, it will help you to now know that, yes, this is what I'm looking for. And so when you see what you're looking for, you will know, because you know yourself, you know what you're looking for, you know what you don't want. So when you can rule out what you don't want, taking what you want to be very, very easy.
Ojolo, go and look for our social media handle. My name is Remain Adejoke Adubide. If you want to say a big thank you to coming
Thank you.
and attending to this topic. Thank you. Have a lovely day. I love you. I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, yes, today has been a very educative one. We've learned a whole lot. At least you can go on our social media platform in case you want to send these messages to people. They need to hear. More families need to hear these messages. I'll see you tomorrow. My name is Joy Abu. Stay tuned.